The new model Macedonian army has come to prove its worth against the Thracians to the north. Hey, how's it going, guys? We are back once again with another head-to-head multiplayer battle. This one was once again taken from mine and Republic of Play's head-to-head live stream that we go ahead and do every Tuesday and Thursday. I am playing as Macedon, Darren is playing as the Indians, and the head-to-head on Undivided Impera has just been so much fun. So if you want to see multiplayer campaign action where me and Darren fight it out to the death to see who will conquer the East, where it will be me as Macedon reforging Alexander's empire, or Darren getting revenge for the Macedonian invasions, you know, 100 years beforehand, then make sure to turn up every Tuesday and Thursday. We stream for about 5 hours in our head-to-head campaign, and this is one of the battles from the stream, and this will hopefully go to show you guys why these campaigns are so much fun, because it's not necessarily always about winning. Wounding your opponent is just as important. So a little bit of backstory as this battle does kick off, and also I should say as well, for those of you who don't know what the multiplayer campaign really is, basically it's a normal campaign. However, during the head-to-head, Darren gets to play as every single AI faction I fight against. So for example, in this one, Darren isn't playing as the Thracians or the District Kingdom, he's playing as India, but because I'm fighting these guys, Darren gets to jump in and play as the AI army to make my expansions much harder than they actually, you know, they would be if it was just simply the AI. So it makes for a much more interesting campaign, a much more difficult campaign, and adds in a lot more flavour to these battles, that is for sure. So as I said, a little bit of backstory. After the Siege of Pella, we've kind of reformed the army. We've managed to go ahead and basically create a lot more babies for our armies, because again, if you don't know, Divide et Impera has a population system where you have to, you know, be cautious of what you recruit, because every single army, every single man in these units comes from a select pool from each city. So if I lose 10 of these guys, I'm going to need another 10 to replenish them from the city, and the numbers do not go up fast. So, you know, you really have to try and, you know, keep your population alive for as long as possible. So after the victory at Pella, the close victory at Pella, we managed to reform the army, and this is now the King's new model army. He is raring to go. He has 5 units of these heavy pikemen on the front line, good missile block, and extremely deadly from the front. We also have 4 units of these Macedonian hoplites as well. These are going to be much more lighter than obviously the pikemen. However, they're going to be able to be, you know, more maneuverable, but just basically hold down the flanks as much as we can and just keep the flanks, you know, secure and safe. We then have our heavy contingent of missiles. We have 5 units of missiles in this army, 2 of these Cretan archers who are running past us right now, and then 3 units of these Rhodian slingers, which are here. The Rhodian slingers, I've kind of spec'd my army in this head-to-head, at least with this general, to really try and emphasize the Rhodian slingers. If we press I, or it doesn't actually do it on this one, but if we take a look at their things, you can see that they have 250 range on the Rhodian slingers. They normally start off with 215, but because I've spec'd my general and also the army traditions as well into being good, like, range focused, these Rhodian slingers can basically just output a ton of damage at range, and it's really making this army kind of come together, because it forces the enemy to come to me. You know, as a Macedonian, you know, pike wall slash phalanx, I can't really be aggressive and maneuverable. So my idea of this army is to be a stationary box where the enemy has to come to me, because my archers are tearing him apart. So they have to kind of try and force the battle towards me, and then I can kind of react. That's kind of the strategy, at least with this army. I'm sure other armies and other generals will shape up a bit differently. And then over on some flanks, I have a few mercenary units as well. These guys are kind of like my really maneuverable light axemen. And then I believe I have a unit of heavy Thracian phalanxes as well. I could not say no to these guys. Or not, sorry, not phalanxes. What are they called? What are the swords called? I've completely forgotten. Falxes? Falxes, there we go, not phalanxes. Yeah, the Thracian Falxes right here, heavy Royal Guard. And again, because of the new changes in the latest patch that you can get on the TWC page, this is them running right now. So again, a very slow unit, but it's going to kind of represent, because they're heavy infantry, is to kind of represent that maneuvering So yeah, basically, in this battle, Darren outnumbers me by about 9,000, oh no, he has 9,010 men, I think, to be precise, whereas I have just over 3,500, and this was really a test. I wanted to fight this battle in the campaign, because I wanted to test out how good this army is, and the Thracian quality, it's okay, it's not like awful, but it's nothing compared to the Macedonians, you know, so that's why I decided to go up against, you know, outnumber myself almost 2.5 to 1, to see how well the Raishin Army can go. And the map is very interesting as well, because it's a coastal battle. This is, I think, believed just outside the last Thracian city as well. Because of this, it's kind of got like this interesting coastline right here. And there's some interesting things at play, because as a Macedonian, you know, hoplite phalanx player, I really want to dive into this gap, because this gap will basically create a choke point, you know, create my Thermopylae if I try and push through there and engage Darren's Odyssean Kingdom forces, because I know from the front my army is going to be unbeatable. However, you know, Darren has numbers and he wants to use them numbers really, really effectively. Also, I should mention as well, this isn't Darren's entire army right here as well. He still has more reinforcements to come on, it's just you can only have 40 units. He also has a pretty sizable navy as well, which, you know, if deployed at the right time, can cause so much havoc. You know, he doesn't necessarily have to deploy this right away. He can keep this, like, at bay, and then when I engage, he can deploy it and be really, really effective. Again, whilst the armies are moving up, we'll take a quick little look-see at the Thracian army as well. And I'm also going to turn down the music. I know the Rome music is amazing, but it's just a tad loud for me. So, you know, again, I should mention, Darren did also have a garrison army. So he had one full stack army from the Thracians. He had a garrison army, he had a fleet, and he had one commander unit from a second army in this battle, which did number around about, I think, 9,010 men to be exact. So he's going to have a lot of these 300-man units. But again, each of these 300-man units can throw javelins, which I think is actually really, really key. Because, you know, when you're coming up against Macedonian phalanx, every projectile you can throw at the Macedonians is really, really important. So the battle's going to kick off, and I think Darren's going to decide that he wants to use his numbers. If he was to sit around here and try and envelop me with his ships and maybe his reinforcements, that could be effective, but then he would also sacrifice this large amount of numbers right here to my phalanx, you know, because as you can see, my phalanx can reach the entire way across. Granted, it can only reach, you know, all the way across. It can't really protect much from the back. I have a few units in reserve and stuff, but nothing too crazy. Also, look at the balance of power. I mean, this isn't always very accurate, but still, it's kind of scary considering this is my king's army. I spent a long time building this, and I'm kind of just being very reckless right now. I really want to see what this army can do. And that might come back to bite me, you know, if I lose this army, if I lose my king, oh my god, that is going to hurt me massively in the campaign. I mean, even if this battle's a victory, which it might be, it might not, it's still going to massively reduce my population in the surrounding cities, because I'm going to have to get new warriors. So I feel like overall this was a bad decision by me, win or lose, just because I'm putting myself, you know, I'm draining population, I'm putting my king at risk, I'm putting these, you know, fairly veteran warriors. They got 2 bronze chevrons, which isn't bad. I'm putting these guys at risk. And I should have just maybe have taken this battle, tried to take a more favourable battle. But, you know, sometimes you've got to just, you know, throw down the gauntlet and be like, come at me. You know, if this army, if the Thracian army was a little bit stronger, there's no way that this would have been, you know, feasible to do. But because it is kind of a, I wouldn't say a rubbish army, because they're weaker, they can't go toe-to-toe with my infantry. They heavily rely on their numbers to basically completely envelop me. Like, I feel at least that this battle, you know, is like a 60-40 in my favour, you know. If Darren can really effectively surround me, then it's over. But as long as I can prevent that from happening, I feel like I'll just, you know, I'll eventually just cut through his men and then he won't have anything left. But there is a lot more than I really realised. So here we go, the first kind of little volley out here by my Rhodian slingers who have 245 range. We're going to be hitting away. I'm basically trying to soften up. I believe I was trying to hit his missiles first, or maybe I was trying to hit his javelin men, because they really, really scared me. I knew that Darren had a bunch of these Thracian bowmen from the garrison, but they're so lightly armoured, I'll cut through these guys with my Cretan archers in about 2 volleys. Darren also decided to land his navy right away, which I feel like maybe it would have been better to hold off with this navy and just deploy it a little bit later, but he said that his chat kind of convinced him to do this, and maybe it will come out big and his chat will be right. We'll have to see if deploying these guys early will be effective. And I quickly see this, and because there's no spearmen over here, Darren's playing against a Thracian, so he doesn't really have a lot of cavalry, if any. I'm going to be using my Macedonian cavalry. I think I have some Tarentino Hippacus, which is like a javelin cavalry / melee. I'm going to be using these guys to harass his men as they come off the boats, and because they are only 40 men in a unit, I'm also going to be charging in and trying to rout these guys. Any unit I can kill right now is going to be very important. And you can see I'm charging in here with my cavalry, just basically trying to shock damage him and scare him off. And again, same here as well. A nice little charge off by my cavalry. And as I said, these guys are like a skirmish and melee cavalry, which is very nice. And I believe I throw in, yeah, but I also throw in my lancer cavalry as well. It's going to be sending these boatmen down to the ground. And you can already see, look at that, the morale on these guys aren't great. In Divided Impera, you really have to try and protect your flanks as best as you can, and I saw this opportunity and I took it. Because Darren's army, you know, his spearmen are quite slow, I'm going to be using that to my advantage as well. I'm simply going to be, you know, hitting these guys. I really want to rout this unit, and then I'm going to get out of it. I'm going to say, okay, we've got 2 kills, that was worth it. Two entire units are going to be routing now. Let's just pull out, let's save our horses. They're going to be extremely valuable to kill all of these bowmen, and what else comes from here. So again, I think I'm trying just to hold the line here whilst we deal with that. And again, because the thing is, like, I can't really dive in and try and cut Darren in half or anything, because I know for a fact that because he has so many numbers, this is going to be so risky. Maybe something I could have done as my Rhodian slingers get back to slaughtering these archers. We'll just do this. We'll see how quickly these archers die. Maybe something I could have done is just try and rush this part of the army whilst his boats were landing. But again, as I said, I feel like it's better with boats. Maybe not in every situation, but in many... Oh my god, that is slow. Oh my god, these lightly armoured bowmen have no chance. I feel like most of the time, it's better to let, you know, Darren form up his army completely before engaging it in this situation. Because if I was to engage my force now, then Darren could then just kind of maybe come around the side of me and it'd be much harder to peel men away. But if I let Darren completely form up and let him maneuver, I can kind of match his men somewhat and reform my formation to adjust to fighting him. Whereas if they're already engaged, it's extremely hard to do that, because in Divided Impera, units do not move fast. So you really have to, you know, think about, you know, 4 steps ahead almost. I also love the look of these Macedonian hoplites. I really wish that the thumbnail for these guys were a little bit different, like the unit card, because in the game they just look like any other hoplite, whereas they have really unique shields and stuff. In every other like Greek hoplite unit has a really unique shield. Again, we're kind of redlining here, but it's very hard not to redline. Me and Darren generally have a rule that you can't like box yourself in with the red line, just because it takes away the feel of the battle. But it kind of is like, when you're at this point, like, Darren's whole point of this army is to completely outflank me, right? And surround me. We try and avoid it as much as possible. But sometimes you kind of just have to use it. And, you know, if I see Darren using it, and then that gives me the okay that I can block it off and I can then redline. It's kind of a dumb mechanic, right? Because it's like, oh, my army all of a sudden can't outflank yours. So, I always give the attacker space. But I always give the attacker space, but if the attacker starts to use it, then I will block it off with my infantry. I feel like that's a fair exchange. And as you can see, these 300-man units are starting to take away a few of my pikemen. I am down in my full pike wall right now. A very scary phalanx indeed. Go down that very fast. You know, extremely scary. I also try to reform up my formation. I'm trying to use this woodland as much as possible, just to scare Darren away a little bit. Be like, yeah, look here, I've got a lot of men here. Just be a bit scared, you know, a bit cautious of me. And as you can see, I'm making sure I focus down these missiles, because again, that's also another really important part of my army, is to make sure that Darren can't just shoot my pikes. If I have my missiles hitting his pikes, I mean, I can force him to, again, you know, have to engage my pikes from the front and then engage them instead of just shooting them to pieces. Now, as I said, I have taken quite a few casualties from my pikemen. You can see he focused down, oh, maybe not. Yeah, he focused down like 2 units on my flanks. But the pike wall is still very, very effective. And the phalanx will hold. And I'm trying to keep my phalanxes at least like 6 ranks deep, because it makes them fight so much more efficiently than if they were like 3 ranks deep. Because it basically means if anyone gets close, the 5th or 6th rank back will then attack. You'll see it in a second. Yeah, Darren's just going to pull back though, not wanting to engage these guys. And this is where the battle becomes so important for me right now, as I have actually engaged my phalanxes. I think I've just formed them in phalanx now. A little bit late, but yeah, just phalanx. So it was a little bit delayed, but now that they're in phalanx, they should make somewhat quick work of this. I completely forgot what I was mentioning about the phalanxes there as well. Yeah, you're not wanting to engage. Oh yeah, there you go. I remember now. So I managed to engage these guys. I'll put down the pikes. And this is risky. Like, by doing this, I'm engaging Darren's forces. However, it does make me take more casualties, because now he's got men engaging my front line. But it's kind of what you have to do against Darren, because he's always going to try and withdraw his units. So I need to get myself in melee with him and then drop down them pikes. But as I was saying, you want to have like 6 ranks deep, because this way you have pikes which maybe don't necessarily hit the enemy, you know, covering the advance and basically just causing a nice front line. Again, he's going to try and retreat. We took out a few men that time, and we'll just have to make sure we try and pursue. Because again, there's only so many distances he can retreat to. All this time as well, my missiles are hammering him, and he's trying to push out this flank, and I decide, yeah, it's time to move over now. I mean, these are only crappy units as well, so we're going to get a really nice charge off with my king, who is extremely deadly. And you'll see this unit just get absolutely melted. Look at that. And my king as well is also really good in melee combat as well. So even in melee, this unit will do decently. I have recently upgraded this unit as well. I got hit over form level in Divided Impera. And because they're right by the retreat thing, we're just going to get the hell out of here, which is great. Darren is now starting to use his numbers, and I'm starting to get a bit stretched, I'm not going to lie. I'm trying to, you know, basically cover my formation, and what I was mentioning earlier was that what you need to do is just make sure your units do not get disorganized. As Darren withdraws, I have to move my entire army forward, because if I don't do that, there will be gaps, and then Darren can outflank my phalanx. Now, there are a few ways I think you can effectively encourage that to happen. I'm not going to mention them in this video in case Darren's watching this. I don't want to give him any tips. But, you know, I'm basically just holding the line here. I'm not necessarily, you know, relying on taking these guys out. More of my phalanxes moving up. We'll go on slow-mo just for a real quick second, because there is quite a lot happening. So as you can see, I've managed to basically whittle away a large portion of Darren's front line over here. He's getting more reinforcements coming on from the city, and this is pretty scary. At this point in the battle, to have 4 units of fresh archers join the battlefield, that's pretty goddamn scary. I've also got my king as well. No, I've got some spearmen. I must have withdrew my king somewhere. Where is he actually? Can we see him? Oh yeah, he came flashing into the side of here. But all this time, you know, he's taken a few casualties. Not at the moment, but he's losing HP, which is, I think, is kind of important. But we're using him to basically just try and break as much of his infantry as possible, because, you know, this is scary as fuck right now over on this right-hand side. Look, I just literally do not have the numbers to withstand this. My infantry line ends here, and look how far he's overlapped me. I've been using my cavalry here, and I think they're getting a little bit caught. I think I realise in a second when I get these guys out of here. I've been using my cavalry, and you can see the dead bodies here, as basically a tool to slow Darren down as much as possible, so that I can try and win this fight over here and recommit elsewhere. I've also repositioned my archers over here as well, because again, he has a lot of these javelin men from the boat, which I'm trying to kill as well. You know, I'm just trying to kill his missiles more than anything else. But Darren is starting to trade infantry with me, and he has the numbers to do it. So, you know, this flank is looking extremely scary, and even if he can break this in, then I'm kind of done for, because, I mean, just look at all of this. It's pretty goddamn brutal. Darren is also bringing up his missiles now, and he is immediately going to put all focus down onto my general. You know, if he can kill my king, the battle is gone. You know, my men will not stand without him there, leading them forward like Alexander himself. He's actually wielding an accolade called Alexander the Great Sword. So he's actually wielding, you know, the fabled sword that Alexander brought into battle with him. which gives his general unit a bunch of really insanely good buffs. So again, just making this unit amazing. But these archers are scary, and they're really starting to rack up a couple kills on this unit. Luckily, the Macedonian general unit does have 200 horses in it, which is amazing. But even still, that does, you know, that does come with its consequences. You know, it's more expensive, and it's a bit more bulky, so it's harder to break through these formations. But obviously, it's really good. That's one where Macedonian's strengths really lie. Again, we're still not engaging here. Probably my bad. I probably should have tried to commit to this fight because it aided, you know, it would have helped me a ton. I'm also, by the looks of it, bringing in some more cavalry here and there. We'll go back onto normal speed now as I bring out my general. So it looks like I'll use a hot potatoes again, just not in a hoplite phalanx. Because the thing is, it's like so hard to engage Darren's front line in a hoplite phalanx. Even with missile superiority, it's really hard to do so. So I'm having to, you know, basically charge in, take a few more casualties than I would normally, and then use that, then like form the phalanx afterwards. I mean, right here as well, I don't even have this pike unit in phalanx or in pike wall, which is a shame. And again, my line is stuck because I'm having to dispatch more infantry over here. I'm like, crap, this is really bad for me. I'm routing. My cavalry is literally fighting in melee against spears right now. But it's necessary for this to have happen, because if it breaks, if this collapses in, look, he's just going to kill my missiles. He's going to take out all my infantry. So I'm rushing over 3 units of pikemen as fast as I can. But that leaves me really vulnerable in the center. You can see here I'm throwing in my general. It leaves me extremely vulnerable in the center. And, you know, gaps are starting to appear. Luckily, I managed to get this unit of pikes down as well to repel the Thracian warriors. And maybe they're not in pike wall either. Wow, that's bad by me. Darren does have a unit of cavalry here, and I believe these Thracian cavalrymen are actually pretty heavy. So if he can slam into the side of my general unit, which is currently engaged against infantry trying to break this up, would not be awful. Oh, yeah, these are. I'm actually just fighting this 1 unit of infantry with 2 horses right now. That's scary stuff. See my pike line right there as well, breaking forward. The Macedonian, like, this is just the creme de la creme of my formation. Really strong. The pike wall is definitely proving its worth. I think Darren's going to try and hit me in the back here, but again, the morale is holding on these guys. I think morale is actually half decent on my pikes. Yeah, it's a 79 because of the general. I think it starts off at around about 50 something. 100 is like the best one of the best you can get. Like, the unit will not break. 80 is pretty goddamn good. I'm happy with 80 on pikes, honestly. But obviously the general was here as well, which is boosting it and stuff. But having good morale on my pikes is gonna be really important. It's gonna basically prevent me from routing right away when I get outflanked. Same over here as well. I wonder how much morale this unit has. 72, so that pike unit actually has more, but I probably because the king's right there, you know, in his aura. But even 72 right there, you can see right here, like, we're kind of surrounded, but our morale is holding, which is, you know, super important, because if this flank was to crumble, it'd come round. But here we go. Darren has managed to get men round the back of me, and he is going to start hitting my general unit. I am luckily going to be able to kill the reinforcement general from Darren right here, who is getting cut down by pikes and my superior cavalry. But yeah, Darren's going to get his spearmen in here, which is really bad for me. I'm going to get a rear charge, which is kind of nice. Because even if I'm fighting spears, you know, against Thracians, I can probably surround them with cavalry and kill them that way. I'm also going to be throwing my general forward as well. He is down to 50% strength now and taking even more casualties. I'm going to be able to get a good charge off on the cavalry, basically cutting them down with my lances. But my general is looking very low. And this is something I hate to do whenever playing against a player, is charging missiles with like a 1 cavalry unit. Because look at this, I'm getting slaughtered right now. I'm down to 85 from 117. Because I'm charging missiles, and I can only engage 1 missile unit at the time. So because of that, Darren can basically just shoot me to pieces with his other units. I'm down to 75. And this is my king right now diving in, but look how dire the battle is. My pikes are trying to withstand this rear charge. Darren is coming through on every single flank. My phalanxes are being surrounded. Could this have been the foolish move of the Macedonians right here? To commit to this fight expecting for an easy win, simply to be cut down? Luckily, I managed to break this left flank and quickly onto this missile unit. So my general is not really being shot at right now, but I'm getting him the hell out of there. He's down to 73 men now. I'm retreating him. I'm also deciding to retreat my missiles as well. These guys are out of ammunition. So I'm simply pulling them out of the battle. There's no need for them to lose their lives here. If we have to retreat with my general and my archers intact, then so be it. So be it. But Darren has just done a great job at completely enveloping me. If we take a look from the tactical map, look at that. You know, this strategy of coming around the side and pulling out of this cove is probably the smarter decision when we look at it. Because this flank just managed to come around. I managed to blockade it somewhat nicely, but it's very, very, very scary. And you can just see his men are still there, you know, and if it isn't for my greater morale of my units, I would have stood no chance. These pikes have done amazingly in the front line, but now we're starting to get shot in the back. And it's really unfortunate with these Thracian armies that they don't field a lot of cavalry. I mean, it's kind of like what the army is all about. But if these Thracian unit armies formed like I don't know, just as much cavalry as I did, I think this battle would have been over. Because when you have the cavalry advantage, you can really just do whatever you want. Look at this though, this is not looking good. This unit has its formation breach, it's taking a lot more casualties because it's enveloped. Even with a rally, it's on yellow morale right now. I mean, we can probably take a look at their morale now. Oh, it still says it's on, it doesn't count down like it does in Warhammer. But, you know, probably in yellow morale, it's probably on like 40 or something morale right now, which is not good. I'm rushing over more infantry because I managed to finally win over on this right-hand side. Taking out a few men, but it's still so goddamn close. My general unit also engaged against a unit of the light Thracian cavalry, which is not really going to be a match to him. But again, at this point, we have only got 46 men left in my king's bodyguard out of 200. Any lucky javelin can kill him. Darren is enveloping me over here as well. My phalanx is just not holding. It's trying its best, and they are fighting against the Falksmen as well. And Falksmen are obviously like designed for this, right? They're designed to try and fight me here and rip away the phalanx with their curved blades. This battle is just too close, and you know, if Darren can defeat me here, this will set me so far back I won't have an army left. My king will be dead. My population will be in tatters because I basically put everything into this army. I mean, even still, even if this battle is a victory for me, you know, Darren still has plenty left. Even if I do win this battle, you know, I still have to replenish all of these units, and that's going to be costly. It really, really is. See, I'm just trying to kill a few of these Thracians as they retreat, but they managed to get out in time. I'm basically just trying to keep my king alive at this point. I feel like the battle is somewhat secure, even though I am still pretty scared of this army coming over. Darren is going to be trying to pull back his infantry and also continue to envelop me. Again, my phalanx is reforming now. It's just really frustrating that Darren, obviously Darren won't charge me, but it's really frustrating because I'm having to take these extra casualties by, you know, charging in sword and shield and then forming the phalanx afterwards. It's quite costly, honestly. More javelins coming out as well. So at this point, it's looking pretty good for me. I've managed to push Darren into a corner. He doesn't have any missile. I've killed all his cavalry. I still have to worry about this coming behind me. But my phalanxes are still fairly healthy. I mean, this one is ridiculously healthy. It's lost like 3 men. I don't know how. This one's taken a lot more punishment. These phalanxes have taken punishment. But at this point, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm charging in cavalry as well to try and rout these Thracians. The battle seems like it's basically mine for the taking right now. But Darren definitely inflicted a lot of casualties. And this was probably just such a stupid battle by me. Because if I was, you know, a little bit more careless with my army in this engagement, I could have lost it all. I could have got my king killed, which would have caused havoc with my political sphere. Maybe civil wars erupting because of it. It would not. I would have lost all my reputation in the Senate, which gives you some good bonuses. Not the Senate, but the kingdom. It would have been really, really bad. But it does look like I'm going to be able to push him in. I'm also still very scared of my general. We'll triple speed it for the last, you know, little bit until we get some more engagements. You know, and Darren can still, you know, even though the battle is looking good for me, the battle could still go against me. You know, Darren's job right now is just to kill as many as possible. And you can see he's charging in against my mercenary axemen. These mercenary axemen as well have been with me since like the beginning of the game. They're extremely deadly. They're definitely an underrated unit for sure. Very, very much so. I'm basically just trying to advance my pikes into his line. Again, I've got some more pikes here, but he's getting in my side as well. You can see, like, at this point in the battle, it just kind of devolves into a mess. My men are exhausted as well, yeah. And that's obviously really bad as a phalanx. I'm trying to fill these gaps in as well to stop him from using his men. I've kind of backed him into this corner now. And his infantry is getting extremely close. Luckily, I'm basically at this point just trying to rout as much as possible. Put them pikes down, boys. Put them pikes down, god damn it. Some of them getting down, but they're reforming. Oh, that's way too late. It does take a while, and now that these falcons can get into me, oh, it's going to be painful to push them back. Over here as well. Over here was a little bit more effective. Managed to take these guys out a little bit nicer. But still, and I have to be very cautious of this, but I'm committing a few units of spearmen over here. He has managed to envelop me again. Like, Darren is really good at finding the gaps and exploiting them. And it's my job, basically, to prevent this from happening. Because even though my morale is high enough with a rally as well, but he's not going to rout me, it's more about inflicting casualties. You take a lot more damage from the side and flanks. So it's not always about routing the pike wall. It's about getting in the back of it and just killing them until they're not very effective. The front starts to crumble, and then they rout. I'm actually, for some reason, advancing this forward. It must have been like maybe a misclick or something. Or maybe it's just the formation pathfinding really messing up. I'm not really sure. I mean, either way, I'm probably taking a bunch of casualties for no reason. I'm also engaging his general here as well. And his general unit could actually basically stand up quite nicely against these falxmen, or against these phalanxes. My general as well is just trying to cause some havoc in the back. This I'm feeling a bit more confident about because, you know, his morale is really bad. I'm committing some decent men. I'm also going to bring my general over here as well to, again, just aid in this fight, charge in. And you can see I'm coming in and, you know, killing a lot of these men. At least one of the nice things is a lot of the men I've lost in this battle have routed. Like, he didn't kill every single man he routed. So even though I managed to... even though, you know, I took casualties this battle, it's not as horrific as it looked. But, you know, if I would have, for example, have routed and lost this battle, I would have taken so many more casualties. In Divided Impera, it seems that the winner seems to take a lot less casualties because a lot of their men don't get run down and killed. So because, you know, the victor won, I don't have to worry about, you know, these men dying because the cavalry's charging forward and stuff. I mean, I'm not trying to kill these guys. I think I'm running forward to kill this. Maybe not. Yeah, no, I am now. I think. Maybe not, though. Maybe I'm just trying to get... No, there we go. Cool. Yeah, I'm just trying to look to end this battle. But yeah, the winner of the battle, even if it's a close battle, seems to win, to have a lot more men come back because they just routed off the field rather than fighting to the death almost. And we can see that right now. I mean, I did lose, you know, almost half of my army right here, 1,500 men, and I was very, very close to routing. Like, the thing is, I only lost 1,500 men, but you got to remember as well, a good, like, 500 of this, maybe even 600, is all coming from these missiles right here, which I routed off the field. I lost my cavalry, which is expensive to replenish. I lost a couple units. My front line held amazingly. My more maneuverable units kind of struggled and got cut down by Darren. But as you can see, like, I lost half. He lost relatively half as well, just kind of a bit over half. But yeah, overall, it was a great battle. My general unit getting 755 kills. He is, you know, so good. And it's not just because he's got 200 horses in his unit. At this point, he's like ranks 8 or 9, I think. So he's just extremely strong. He's been fighting all these battles, leveling up. And he's just extremely good. Like, I've given him great traits to make him Alexander reborn. However, Antigonus is like 60 years old in my campaign, meaning his son's going to have to take over. I think in the next stream, which is going to go live tomorrow, 2 p.m. GMT, Tuesday and Thursday. Remember that. That's when we stream him over on Twitch. I think I'm going to gift the sword that he has been wielding since the start of the campaign to his young 23-year-old son, who came from, I think, my uncle or something, to join the family. He's apparently had some amazing training, and he's going to take over. I got him from an event, which was kind of cool. But yeah, really good stuff. My front line held amazingly. Also, these kills are somewhat over-exaggerated because Darren had like 300 men in every one of his units. So, you know, these guys against a proper army wouldn't do this good. Because the Thracians had a garrison force, I kind of, managed to dominate that. But imagine for a second, Darren had like 2 full stacks rather than a garrison stack and an army. This battle would have gone in his favor. And this was a good teaching point for my army. I kind of learned the strengths and weaknesses of it. I learned what I needed to do in future. I think I'm going to try and get maybe a bit more cavalry and reduce my light infantry a bit. But also, this was not the final lesson that Antigonus would find whatsoever. There's another battle we'll probably do at the end of the week that is something else. Again, Antigonus has kind of won so many battles that he gets a little bit cocky, and by him I mean me, and it comes back to bite me in the ass for sure. So keep an eye out for that. Join us tomorrow, Tuesday and Thursday, 2 PM GMT, over on Twitch TV. The link will be down below in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next one.